Hi, I'm Mary Kupczynski, the CEO of Regalytics, with your update on this week's 11,376 regulatory alerts. The regulator of the week is the Washington Department of Financial Institution, and it's not just because I grew up there, but they are on a rampage. Remember when I told you a few years ago that Washington clued in that New Jersey companies didn't need a license to sell crypto, and then they just went after New Jersey crypto companies and fined them up for not being registered in Washington? Well, something has happened in the last few months because Washington DFIs has already surpassed last year's fraud alerts, and we're not even to the halfway point of the year. It's all crypto companies that are purportedly fraudulent. The topic of the week is the Defense Production Act. What is it? Well, it's an act that's sometimes used by the president to force companies to produce products that are undersupplied. Both Trump and Biden used it a few times for masks and other critical supplies related to COVID. They also used it for military vessel and fuel-related stuff. But this week, the Biden administration made 4 announcements declaring electricity emergency and invoked Section 303 of the Defense Production Act of 1950 to develop more robust onshore clean energy related sectors. I'm told that this is an unprecedented use of executive authority, but given the past use of the same thing to build a border wall, it just might work. Also at the federal level, the Office of Science and Technology Policy is requesting comments to help inform a national strategy on privacy preserving data sharing and analytics. You have until Friday, July 8th to say something. The SEC dropped 2 interesting fines this week. One was $1.5 million for Morningstar ratings because their analysts were able to manually manipulate CMBS ratings, which is a big no-no and an operational control failure. The second was Charles Schwab for $186 million because they had offered a no-fee robo-advisory product but then took the same amount of the fee in certain high returns without telling customers. The CFPB terminated Upstart Network from its list of approved no-action letters. The CFPB had given special regulatory treatment to a bunch of fintechs so they could build out their cool AI lending platforms and other fun stuff without being afraid that the regulator would shut them down for not complying with older, developed, complex, expensive regulations. Well, apparently, now that Upstart has originated 1.3 million loans totaling $11.8 billion, the CFPB thinks, yeah, it's time for you to start following the fair lending rules. Starting yesterday, the FTC and the DOJ are hosting a big 2-day workshop on antitrust laws in the pharmaceutical industry, so I'm sure we'll start seeing some movement in those regulations. Moving on to the states, the DC Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking announced a partnership with O'Neill Risk Consulting and Algorithmic Auditing, where they're going to first review the algorithms within DC that are giving private passenger automobile insurance. There is an open comment period on this whole process if you care to speak up or watch. Iowa passed a law this week about the enforceability of smart contracts and distributed ledger technology. And finally, New Jersey had a hearing on a bill that basically says that if the governor, the president of the Senate, or any other person who has the right to appoint a new board member, commissioner, task force, whatever, that they must make it a goal that the body will reflect the racial and gender diversity of all the residents in the state. And that's it this week for Regalytics. We have the most comprehensive, coherent, and customizable regulatory alerts tool in the world. Come and see how company after company is transforming their compliance with this kind of transparency. See you next Wednesday.